Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Today is going to be a fun topic. I like it very much because sometimes comics have, you know, strange and unusual titles that you don't think are going to make it or out of the blue. And sometimes those titles have some interesting things behind them and they don't go as long as you hoping them to, because of one reason or another, whether it's cancellation, bad sales, or, you know, bad editorial decisions. In this video, however, I'm going to cover one of those um, one of those DC series that came around in 76 and was canceled in the DC implosion of 1978. And this is the Secret Society of Supervillains. Now, this is a great concept. This became a thing that became a continual thing over the years. Like there's been many different versions of this group, whether it was the Ultra Humanites, whether it was the whether it was the Earth 3 Alfred Pennyworth version, who was known as the Outsider, of course, from the New 52, and so forth. Also, the fact that the Legion of Doom was used, and it was inspired a bit by this comic book with regards to the Super Friends. And of course, they had the Darth Vader looking headquarters, but the Legion of Doom is something completely different. This is the story of the original Secret Society of Supervillains. Secret Society of Supervillains was a title that debuted in May-June 1976. The series presented a group of supervillains, mostly enemies of Justice League heroes of the Justice League of America. The series was canceled with issue 15 in July 1978 with part of the DC implosion. Issues 16 and 17 were drawn. However, they were never issued per se. They were issued in a book called Comic Cavalcade, which canceled Comic Cavalcade, which came out in 1978, which had a bunch of these titles, a bunch of the next issues and a lot of the canceled titles from the DC implosion that they had in the archives. They just wanted to use them and get rid of burn them off, so to speak. This team was created by DC editor Jerry Conway because he was inspired by the group of the Flash's Rogues Gallery. Because other editors did not want most of their best enemies, their best villains being used in this title, Conway had to go back through the DC archives to find suitable members. And thus, there is very little, if no, Batman villains, as an example. Lex Luthor is involved in these books, but he's pretty much the only Superman villain on a regular basis that is part of this series. Conway ended up writing most of the series, with Pablo Marios as artist, at least in the beginning. Conway did the first few issues, took a break, and finished the title. This team was brought together by Darkseid in a bid to hold the world ransom by using and stealing a deadly nerve gas. Darkseid is then revealed to be an android, but the team discovers that the real Darkseid was actually behind the plan all along. The comic's recurring hero ended up being Captain Comet, who hasn't been used from DC since the 1950s, very late 50s, maybe early 60s. He was added to the title just because the Comic Code Authority said somebody had to be there to fight them. By this point, they had done the Joker title, and that was the first title dedicated, at least DC title dedicated to a supervillain, and it didn't. It only lasted 9 issues because they kept running out of ideas how to have the Joker lose, which was required by the Comics Code Authority. In this case, by having a hero in the book, they could not necessarily have the supervillains lose per se. They could get away, they could because at least there was a hero involved, and apparently that was the get out of jail free card for the code at the time. The book suffered from rotating artists and creators, leading to its cancellation, as I said, as part of the DC implosion of 1978. The following people were members at one point during the series: Darkseid, Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold, Captain Comet, Copperhead, Gorilla Grodd, Manhunter, a clone of the original hero, Mirror Master, Shadow Thief, Sinestro, Star Sapphire, and this is not Carol Ferris, this is a new Star Sapphire. The first issue is her first appearance, named Deborah Darnell, and the Wizard. Note that the majority of villains in this book are Green Lantern / Flash related. Why? Because at the time, Conway was involved in editing some of those books and was able to steal those villains. So they were also known for their popularity. Other people, in terms of membership, came and went over the course of the series. But there was too many to mention here for the brevity's sake. I could mention them all, but that would take another 8 minutes or so. That's how many have actually ended up in it. So let us begin by showing some of the specific issues that I have. This is issue 3, titled War for Earth Death. And it was written by David Anthony Kraft, and the pencils were done by Marcos, as was mentioned before, and the inks were done by Vince Colletta. So, all right. On Apocalypse, Darkseid reveals that he formed the Secret Society to be a more effective replacement for Intergang. Intergang, of course, was in the Jimmy Olsen books at the time, in the early 70s, and that's where all of the Darkseid stuff got involved with the Fourth World into the Jimmy Olsen title. Mantis defeats the Society members, but Star Sapphire and the Manhunter clone escape. Manhunter rallies the 3 members of the Society, and Star Sapphire gets Green Lantern's aid, and the Society frees their captured comrades. And then they defeat Mantis. Darkseid, watching, decides he and Caliban, his son, will go discipline them. This is actually a fun book. I've decided I'm going to finish the run. I've got 5, there's 10 to go. So, issue 4. When Thieves Fall Out. Written by Kraft, pencils by Marcos, inks by Colletta. This is December 1976. The last book, by the way, was October 1976. This is the Wizard and Sinestro leave the team after the former banishes High Tech to Limbo. Hijack. One of the members that didn't join at the beginning, but was in and out. So Hijack to Limbo. Green Lantern battles Mantis, but unwittingly recharges the power-sapping villain. Mantis boasts that he will have more power than Darkseid, at which point, of course, Darkseid arrives. The actual Darkseid arrives. Funky Flashman, a promoter, contacts several members with a proposal to become their publicity agent. Finally, Caliban fights Grodd and the Society, and as Mantis cowers before Darkseid, the Lord of Apocalypse points out that the Black Racer is here. The Black Racer is the Apocalypse version of death, of the Grim Reaper. When he shows up, death is near. Issue 5, which has a really cool cover of Hawkman being attacked by Sinestro, is called Endgame. And this is actually written by Bob Rozakis, who is better known as the Answer Man. If you ever read any DC books from the late 70s, early 80s, you'll know Bob as, I'm the Answer Man. That's the Answer Man, and he's the guy who does all those. And the pencils are done by Rich Buckler, and the inks were still done by Vince Colletta. February 1977. Darkseid and Mantis battle the Society members, and Darkseid escapes through a boom tube because, he never sticks around. With the Manhunter clone sacrificing his life in an attempt to destroy the arch-villain with explosives. Captain Comet rescues Green Lantern and is then taken to meet the Justice League, having decided to leave the team and oppose the Secret Society. Soon, Green Lantern, Captain Comet, and Hawkman do battle with Sinestro, who is attempting to topple the Sinister Citadel with his yellow power ring. And the Sinister Citadel, I believe, is the place where the supervillains have their headquarters. It's not the Darth Vader Legion of Doom house. And number 6. Of course, Darth Vader wasn't out in Feb 1977 either. He didn't come out till May, right? Number 6. Captains Cataclysmic. Written by Rozakis, pencils by Buckler, and inks by Bob Layton. Captain Cold, Captain Stingery, he's a pirate type guy, and Captain Boomerang kidnap 3 captains. One of an astronaut crew, one of a ship, and the other from a football team. And they hold them for ransom. Black Canary and Captain Comet strive to rescue them. Meanwhile, a mysterious figure releases Copperhead from prison and announces to the society that he is taking over. Ooh, scary. Gotta love Black Canary. And as I said, the introduction of heroes into the series saved the series from having serious issues with the Comics Code. And the last issue that I have, issue 13. A cool shot with 3 members of the Crime Syndicate. And you've got Professor Zoom here now, Reverse Flash. And this guy, who I don't remember off the top of my head. Star Sapphire is pretty much in every book. She's like one of the main characters. This one is called One or Too Many. And it's written by Jerry Conway. Pencils are done by Mike Vasberg, and the inks were done by Bob Smith. This is March 1978. Following the Wizard, that's who it is, the Wizard and his society villains through the interdimensional barrier, who seek to journey to Earth 2, Captain Comet and the society are swept up by an interdimensional energy surge and end up on Earth 3. Their trip accidentally weakens the Crime Syndicate's prison, allowing Power Ring, Superwoman, and Johnny Quick to escape. Landing on Earth 3, Captain Comet is confronted by those three members of the Syndicate as the Wizard and his team head on towards their goal of Earth 2. In order to continue the journey, though, the Wizard uses the Crime Syndicate members' power items, including Johnny Quick's primary speed enhancement helmet. Needless to say, but I'll say it anyway, the Crime Syndicate are angered at having their tokens taken away and their power items by the Society, and the Society manages, though, to succeed using them and leaving Captain Comet behind on Earth 3 to battle the enraged Syndicate members. Those are the 5 issues of the 15 issues that I have. I bought number 13 first because of the cover. And then I ended up with 3, 4, 5, 6 because, they ended up one after another. And I saw them in the dollar bin. So I was very happy to buy those. And as I said, I discovered that this is a neat little series with a bunch of little used characters, as well as some commonly used characters like Captain Cold and Green Lantern. And it's fun. I'm not saying it's the world's greatest series, but as a distraction and as part of DC lore, I think it's great. As I said, sometimes the weirdest series end up being a lot of fun. My understanding is that people are rediscovering the Inhumans series by Jack Kirby and Marvel, another short series from the 70s that deserves better than it is, and same with the Eternals. So it's good to see sometimes to just sit back. You don't always have to read the big long ones like the Actions and the Supermans. You can have fun with these little ones. And Lord knows I am, and it's going to be fun to put these together. If you liked what I did today, please like, comment, and subscribe below. Tell me if you liked the books. Tell me if you liked the concept. Tell me if you hated the books. Tell me if you hated the concept. Tell me if you hated my t-shirt. It's all good. Everything down there is great. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.